say that because you said that you were the most difficult one.
Mm-hmm.
But why would that? Like, again, from the outside looking in, I wouldn't have picked you as the more difficult one.
Who would you have picked?
No, not.
Robin.
Oh no.
She said it.
Yeah, I wouldn't have pictured you as the more
I don't know
difficult
if
one.
Robin agreed with me when I said that. I feel like, well, I don't know if Robin would think she was the worst kid, but I think I was. I think that's kind of funny because we used to always kind of argue over who's the real middle child.
Yeah.
I feel like it's me, only because Robin was like a middle child for like 2 months before Grace came and the balance was restored or whatever. Like it wasn't like she was the youngest for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
That was cool. She had like a full 7 years. And then I was here and she was a middle child. And then shortly afterward, Grace came. So it was like, oh, now I'm just another oldest. But aside from all that, I feel like I used a lot of my free time to kind of like, I don't know, think about ways to manipulate circumstances in my favor. So like I kind of became a lot to handle with my parents, I guess, because I had like, I don't know, I wanted to be in right standing with my parents all the time. I like enjoyed and respected them, and I wanted them to like know that I appreciated them and loved them, and I wanted to follow the rules, but at the same time I didn't agree with a lot of the rules. So such as for a big one, I know a big one was the language we were not allowed to use. When I was around like middle school, that was when I noticed that a lot of kids were just able to say whatever they wanted and just like, and that was when I realized that it wasn't just when their parents weren't around. It was like
in front of their
yeah, my parents curse, I curse, we curse at each other. It's great. And I was like, wow, that's a real way people live. and so I was like, well, and what are we doing with all these rules? So then I started like questioning my parents, because I would like, back to the free time thing, I would kind of think and sit by myself like, why are all these things true? And also all these things are true. What can I do to like make these worlds together? Yeah, like if I could somehow convince my parents that the way that my friends were living was not the worst, maybe I'd be allowed to like partake or whatever. So I kind of would question my parents, and they would ask me like, why do I do these things? And I would say, I don't know, because someone else. I wouldn't say because someone else is doing it. I would say because I've seen that someone else has tried this, and I would appreciate being given the opportunity to also try it. Like I was trying to sound very like, yeah, like almost like it's not like I'm following everybody else. I just have a way that is similar to the other ways that I've seen. I want those ways to align. Like I just really wanted to like appear to my parents that I was making like an informed decision. But it was something as silly as like being allowed to say like throw up, because we weren't allowed to say throw up. but like it was a lot of different little ways I would kind of just push and ask my parents like, is it really so bad that we say some things and not others? You know, is it really the worst thing in the world to say fart? Like. But it was, apparently. Like, they did not budge on those things. We're not allowed to do
to this day.
Did you have moments of rebellion, Grace?
I can't recall any like big old moments of rebellion. I know there were times when I was like disobedient, but I feel like a lot of the rebellion, like Lillian asked a lot of the questions, so I felt like I didn't have to. But also, I don't know. I can't like. Nothing comes to mind for me right now. I'm sure there is. Robin was looking at me a little funny because I was saying no, but I don't think that there was anything I can think of right now that was like a big point of rebellion for me. But yeah, there were tons of little small things that, I don't know, like the whole emo phase I was talking about. Like my mom had a real big problem with us wearing all black all the time. Mm-hmm. There was a time that was like all I wanted.
Didn't you have the gauges at one point too?
I still do, y'all.
Didn't she hate? Didn't your mother hate those?
She did. So fun fact, I had to make a PowerPoint for my mom. Yeah. And I was like,
as to why is it okay to have
yes,
gauges?
I did. I tried to make a PowerPoint. I think it's still saved on my computer somewhere. But I showed her like people who she knew of that had gauges. So like Andy Mineo. And I was hoping that would make it okay. It did not. But eventually they were like, yeah, we don't really want to be involved in this decision because we don't like it. And I was like, that seems kind of backwards. So I did it anyway. But yeah, I think that's the only big rebellion thing I can think of.
One of the things that I remember is, I don't know how, I think we weren't even married yet, but Mylena got like a tattoo.
Yeah, that was what I was gonna say. Is a lot of it was while we were growing up, we got to see Mylena and Robin get like disapproval from our parents for stuff. Like, and I never thought it was a big deal. Like, I remember when Robin got a nose ring, and it was like a lot of drama around that from my mom. Like, she did not want any piercings on our faces. She actually, none of us had our ears pierced as like babies. She wanted it to be like like an adulthood rite of passage type thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to beg my mom to let me get my ears pierced, and then she let me when I was like 13, I think, or 12, one of those. And it had to be like I had to like prove that I was behaving myself and I would take care of it, and like it was a whole thing. So then when Robin got her nose pierced, I don't remember all the details of like if you got permission or did it. No, shaking her head, y'all. She went behind our parents' back and got a nose ring. And I think it like closed or something. There was like a lot of issues with it. So that I just remember a lot of times like her and my mom like having a conversation about this nose ring. And I was like, oh man, Mommy did never do that. And then with the tattoo Mylena had, that grieved my mom a lot. And I think my dad was like always in the background, like disapproving, but he wasn't as like vocal about it. So I'm saying our mom a lot, but I just remember her like, she just looked heartbroken all the time. I was like, well, I don't like that.
And I think the funny thing is too is like from my perspective, it made me feel as if I was a bad influence on
her. She probably thought that.
Because I had nothing to do with her getting that tattoo. So that's why I'm like, Lillian, I don't know how you are saying that you were the worst, because both of those things are pretty big.
Those things were even like when they were older though. Like I don't remember, were you like 16?
I was 18.
18. Like when pretty much 18 was like we were told like when you're out of the house it's kind of a different thing. I wanted dreads when I was like 16, and both my parents, that one my dad was very vocal about, said nope, that's dirty. They had all these stigmas and all these thoughts.
I said
about
if you trip, we ain't editing it out.
Wow.
Yeah, right there.
So we're not gonna just brush past
Nope.
it. Aww.
Nope, we're gonna highlight it too. What's the marker?
Oh, no.
24 minutes, Robin trips. And I wonder. I said, don't trip. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh. No, but so the what was I saying? Oh, the decision to get dreads, I really wanted to. I had done a lot of research. When I was 16, I like made that decision for myself that I would have dreadlocks. But both my parents said no. I did like a cost-benefit analysis, and I was like, I don't want to lose favor of my parents.
Wait, you said you did a cost-benefit analysis?
Yeah, like I
like in your head?
Yeah, no, because I'm thinking like, yes, it's something I really want, but I know it's something my parents really won't want.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like I just assumed this. We had a lot of conversations about it.
Yeah. And
so eventually I said, the cost of having my parents be upset at me because of like this permanent thing. Well, permanent, but this choice I'm making, like just, appearance-wise, was not worth the cost of them, hating me for a while. Or not hating me, but just being disappointed in me for like as long as I had them, which I was planning on being a long time. So I just figured the cost was not worth the benefits at the time. But they always understood. They said like, when you go to college, do what you want. And so when I went to school, I started these locks. And then also I got the tragus pierced.
That's when I got.
That's when you got the gauges too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all just waited. We saved our rebellions until we were 18. And then just flooded our parents with disappointment all at once. Yep. But they knew that was the deal. They said wait, and so we waited.
And that's why I'm glad we're having this conversation, because I would always view my parents as like, just overbearing and things like that. And from would you guys say your parents were overbearing?
Overbearing, yes.
And
I was gonna pretend that was a hard choice.
And that's
well,
what
I
I'm,
actually. I was gonna say I feel like I want to say yes because I mean it's the whole like language rule thing,
mm-hmm.
but also I don't know. I don't know enough parents that are different that have been just for like no reason. Like I don't know of other parent circumstances that I feel like would come out better. Not to like diss any of my other like friends' parents or anything, but I feel like it worked for us. So I don't know.
You know, and I think that's good because I know for me, my parents, they definitely did curse, but they would be very, like I said, I was sheltered to an extent where I wasn't always going out. And I think me personality wise, I didn't do all that. And then I moved to North Carolina. So right when I was about to go to high school where I would have just a little bit of independence, we up and moved. Mm-hmm. So I think if I stayed in New York, I probably would have given my parents a lot harder time than I did. But I kind of viewed my parents as kind of overbearing. And so I couldn't wait to get my own freedom. You know, and I wouldn't necessarily say I wilded out, but again, from my perspective, looking at you guys, it's in the back of my mind, I'm like, I wonder like how life is going to be once they don't have that, I don't want to call it, because in a sense it was protection.
Yeah.
You know, as children, we don't view it as protection, you know, because we want to just make our own mistakes, do our own things. And I think the dynamic of being the only child intensified it as well. So at least you can, at least some of the parents can be spread out a little bit, so it's not as intense focus. So I think even just growing up with that helped a lot, and even the dynamic, because you guys, there's 4 sisters, but the age gap is really unique, because my wife, Mylena and Robin, they're a year apart, and then there's like a 7-8 year gap between you two, and then you two are only a year apart. So it's like just in pairs almost.
Even that, my mom like prayed for. She said she wanted him to have each of us to have like partners.
But that far apart.
Oh no, that was a series of unfortunate events. But yeah, the pairing, the 2 by 2, is intentional. But yeah, I appreciate that, especially like for the bonding, but also for like when we were in trouble or something. It was always like I had a partner in suffering. Like it wasn't like. I remember times we got like privileges taken away or something. One time we both decided not to do our reading list.
Yo, that was crazy.
We like didn't do our summer reading list for whatever reason.
We just because we had done it like there were years prior when nobody checked it.
Every year. So we would do the summer reading list and then just come back to school in September, and it was almost like they forgot they assigned it.
Yeah, and we would have been
like
the only ones who did it.
The teachers would have either given everyone like, oh, so you can start now and turn it in November, and we're like, well, we wrote all the essays,
right? Or
they would completely forget about it, or they would say, oh, it's just extra credit, like if you did it, no big deal. So one year we were like, we're just not gonna do this, it doesn't matter. And then at the end of summer, my parents were like, did y'all think you were just not gonna do this? So we both got, I think at the time it was our DS, something we got taken away. It was like the first time we got like grounded. We weren't allowed to like do anything fun for like the first month of school or something like that, and that was really annoying. But I remember that we were together, so it was like we shared the pain.
But then also, it's worth noting that they still didn't check the summer reading, so we didn't have to do it that year either.
Don't do your summer reading, kids.
Yeah,
they don't check. No, I'm just kidding.
No, but one of the things you guys were like telling me about was when I was asking like just about growing up, a lot of your childhood was connected to your older sisters and doing things for them. And I think the fact that you guys were paired together as opposed to it just be you or just be you, that it made it a little bit more manageable because it didn't seem as if you guys resented being, I don't want to say being in their shadow, but, you know, it's just, you know, Mylena and Robin and then Grace and Lillian, you know, and it's just like, I don't want to say your parents' lives were revolved around them, but they had more going on, whether it was like going to college or doing more things than you guys did. But you guys never resented that. Why was that? Was it because you guys had each other?
Possibly. I mean, they had a good shadow. It wasn't like, for me anyway, I was entertained by all the stuff they had going on. Like, they did, like, cheerleading and basketball games, so we would go tag along and see that. And then for a while, at the church, they were very active in the youth, young adult fellowship at the church, so they would do, like, cool step thingies, and they were a part of a choir. They did, like, a lot of stuff that was, like, fun for us to just be around for. Like, and then some of the things, us tagging along would have been, I definitely get it would have been boring if it was just me. Like, I know for their choir practices, there was, like, a lot of kids that kind of were tag-alongs. That would have been nice. Like, if it was just me, if it had to be just me, okay, I'd be with these kids while all of our older siblings were collectively ignoring us. But when there's other stuff that we had to be in the car for, like taking them to work, and then like waiting to pick them up for work, if I was just me sitting in this car by myself and whichever parent was doing the driving, that would have been a sad existence. But we had a lot of fun in the car together. We would like make up games and pass time and make up languages.
And listen to music.
Yeah. It was like it helped being together and stuff.
Yeah.
Because we did a lot of the same nothing, so it was like a cool way to like pass the time.
I will say I don't think Mylena and Robin were that much of like shadow casting for me. Because I had 3 older sisters, and the one I felt like I was closest to was Lillian. So I feel like if anyone cast any sort of shadow, it was Lillian. But those are always like quickly dispelled, so it wasn't like a big. Not that you would mess it up and do something bad, but like I don't know. I would feel like the pressure to do well, and sometimes that still happens. Like when I worked at Carrabba's, and they were like expect me to do as well as Lillian did.
That's the clearest shadow.
Yeah,
because Mylena worked at Carrabba's, and subsequently all of us were basically handed a job because we were like, oh, we're Mylena's sister. Or it was like Robin said that, and then I said, I'm Robin and Mylana's sister. Kevin was like, here. Yeah. Start now. Right. And so it was like, that is the clearest example I could see of, like, they set that up, though. It wasn't a bad shadow.
Yeah, I think, though, because, like, I knew it, like, I was old enough to recognize this isn't realistic, and also it's kind of silly that they're doing this and they shouldn't be. And I was like, okay, this doesn't count. But, like, I still feel like there was some sort of comparison there, but I didn't really take it so seriously. Well, I don't take it so seriously now. I think some of my formative years came as a result of, like, having to, or like wanting to or having to split up from things that Lillian did all the time, and kind of figuring out who I wanted to be outside of that. But at the end, we still sort of, you're right here. You're still here.
Yeah.
And I think it's unique because, like you said, you had 3 older sisters to look up to, and essentially there was no one to look up to you.
Right.
So how is that dynamic, or because I think even we talked about like not having your own voice, or just, I don't want to say they've ignored you because you were the youngest, but how was working through all of that, looking up to 3 older sisters while being the youngest?
So I'm trying to think of how I can best like an instance where that was so clear. I think it's a lot of me seeing, like I said earlier, it's seeing what things Mylena, Robin, and Lillian might have tried and succeeded in, or tried and maybe not succeeded in, and sort of carving my own path from there and hoping to get like the least amount of casualties as possible. But that doesn't always work. But I don't know, I think I learned a lot from them being my sisters, but I think I also recognized pretty early on that I'm going to have to make my own mistakes sometimes. Like, around the time when I was like, oh, I have to be different from Lillian, I was like, okay, I'm going to do some things that are going to disappoint Mom and Dad, separate from anything that maybe Mylena, Robin, or Lillian might have done. So, yeah.
Because, again, like I said, just viewing things from my perspective, and again, it's, like, crazy to think that I've known you guys for 10 years, so when you guys were about to go into college, and I was like, man, what is Grace going to do now that Lillian is gone? and then you seemed to function fine, and then you went off to college and you went two totally separate places. How was it like adjusting, you know, to being independent apart from your sisters? Was that a big challenge, or were you ready for it, or how did you like?
You're so profound, so I stick to my guns. Urban soul be the sound, and y'all do it. Got